You know what's crazy? There was a time in America when one job was enough. Seriously, one normal paycheck could buy a house, support a family, pay the bills, and still leave room for vacations, savings, maybe even retirement. That was the dream people believed in, the American dream. But today, millions of Americans are working full-time and still barely surviving. People are using credit cards just to buy groceries. Rent keeps going up. Everything feels more expensive. And somehow, no matter how hard people work, it still never feels like enough. So what happened? How did the richest country in the world become a place where ordinary people feel financially trapped? Because honestly, a lot of Americans feel exhausted right now. Not lazy, not irresponsible, just tired. Tired of working non-stop and still stressing about money. And the truth is, this didn't happen overnight. For decades, Americans were told the same thing. Work hard, play by the rules, and you'll be okay. And for a while, that actually worked. Back in the 50s and 60s, factory workers could buy homes. One income could support an entire family. College didn't destroy people financially. Healthcare costs were manageable. People genuinely believed life would keep getting better. Parents believed their kids would have an easier future. But somewhere along the way, the system changed. Today, everything costs more. Housing exploded. Groceries got expensive. Healthcare became terrifying. College tuition turned into lifelong debt. But wages? They barely kept up. That's the part that frustrates people the most. Americans are working harder than ever before. Longer hours, more pressure, more stress. Yet financially, so many people feel stuck. And maybe the biggest example of all this is housing. Owning a home used to feel normal. Now it feels impossible. In a lot of cities, even people with decent jobs can't afford homes anymore. Teachers struggle, nurses struggle, office workers struggle. Entire generations feel locked out of the future their parents had. And when people can't build ownership, they stay stuck renting forever. That changes everything. Then comes the debt. This is where things get really dark. Millions of Americans aren't using credit cards for luxury anymore. They're using them to survive. Food, gas, bills, rent. Think about that. People are literally borrowing money just to live normal lives. And while families struggle every month, banks make billions from interest. The deeper people fall into debt, the more profitable the system becomes. That's why so many Americans feel trapped, like they're running as fast as possible, but never actually moving forward. And honestly, social media made the pressure even worse. Every day people open Instagram or TikTok and see perfect lifestyles everywhere. Luxury apartments, expensive vacations, designer clothes, dream cars. But half the time, those people are drowning in debt too. Still, the comparison never stops. And slowly people start feeling like failures, even when they're doing their best. That constant pressure is exhausting, especially for younger Americans, because a lot of them did exactly what society told them to do. Go to school, get a degree, work hard, but instead of stability, many ended up with debt, burnout, expensive rent, and almost no savings. Some people are delaying marriage, others are delaying having kids, not because they don't want families, but because life feels financially impossible. And when an entire generation starts losing hope in the future, that's a serious problem. Now, to be fair, maybe the American dream isn't completely dead. Maybe it just changed. But one thing is obvious. The old version of the dream no longer works for millions of people. Today, surviving in America often requires multiple incomes, side hustles, investing, financial education, things previous generations never had to think about this much. And that's why so many Americans feel betrayed, because nobody warned them the rules had changed. At the end of the day, Americans aren't asking for luxury. Most people just want stability, a home, some savings, a little peace of mind. But for millions of hardworking people, even that feels out of reach now. And maybe that's the saddest part of all. Not that people stopped working hard, but that hard work alone no longer guarantees a stable life. And right now, more Americans than ever are quietly asking themselves the same question. What happened to the American dream?